Hey everyone, this is DayTraderRockStar, and this is the high probability watch list for the week of August 25th. We're going to start off taking a look at the S&P cash chart, and what a great week it's been, and one thing I always like to start off with a little market radar, just take a look at the overall market. There's not much here to say other than we got back up to recent highs, all-time highs. We actually extended those a bit. I think we topped out around on the cash here, 94.76, 1994.76. Still haven't gotten up to the 2K mark, but very close to it. And just looking at the trend is intact. One thing we could take a look at is maybe the possibility of a little resistance up at this recent high. The daily stochastics are overbought, and the 60-minute time frame has been overbought. And we started giving back a little. Looks like we did start giving back a little today, which is not much, but definitely you're feeling like you want to be taking profits up at this level. Now, on the radar, usually discusses what are the plans for next week and where do I see the market going. Well, it's hard to call a top in this market. It really is. If we look at the indicators, what we get into when we want to buy something, we really have the patience to let these things set up, and it's a perfect market for that. It's a perfect market for taking anything on the 60-minute time frame, especially even on the just the pullback plays, because the market's been so good that everyone's buying the dips. So the dips are harder to come by right now. So this looks like a good level to just concentrate on. If we do see profit taken here, that's fine. The pattern's overall going to be pretty healthy, even if we pull back from here. The timing is kind of thrown off because the daily is extended. The 60-minute is starting to rotate back down. The 5-minute chart, works fine intraday, and I do believe the 60-minute chart is going to start working really good here. So we're going to follow that. But if I had to guess next week, I'd say possibility of a little pullback Monday. Definitely a possibility. The always thing you're always worried about is, when the pullback comes, is it going to be an easy pullback to see, or is it going to be something that happens over the weekend and we kind of gap down, trapping a lot of people in the market? You have to always take that into consideration. But, I think 2000 is easily going to be taken out, but how do we pull back before that? Do we push higher? Market seems extremely, extremely strong. So any type of pullback, I don't expect it to last too much before we start pushing a little bit higher. All right, so that's about it. But the stocks is really the name of the game. We've been crushing it on the stocks, so we're going to go over those stocks that we've been crushing it. And, of course, the new setups going into next week, because the setups, you're going to see that there's one thing I did a lot of this week, even though it was a shortened week for me because I just came back from vacation last week. I jumped into the markets, felt good. It doesn't hurt to have a strong market behind you, but your entries and exits still should be timed properly. You shouldn't, you should still have the discipline and the patience to wait for those setups. And I think that's really what we did this week. We had some really good 60-minute rotations. I've taken a lot of profits off on the 60-minute time frame. Even if they move higher, I'm not that concerned about it because I know they're going to rotate back down. They're going to give us other entries, and we start to key in on these individual stocks. So you're going to see a lot of these on the review list today, and showing you the setups and what I'm looking for, and then of course the new setups. So let's just kind of jump into this right now. All right, you can see this month's trading has been very good, and the one thing I want to show you is the amount of time held. It's been quicker. Sometimes I do consider myself a swing trader, but I like to keep those trades within a short time frame. An ideal trade for me is just pretty much an overnight or anything like 1 to 7 days. And I got a lot of that this month. And even though a couple of them are longer holds, they were planned out to be a little longer holds. These setups here really represent the just that kind of rotation in the market. When the market comes back, gives you an opportunity. That's when you have to really. You don't want to get into something that you're holding like. 20 days just to get a point out of it. You want to be able to get into a trade that's basically going to give us that pivot area that's going to start to move in a direction, be it up or down, but it's going to really start a move and get a nice extended move in there where you could actually get a good profit off of in a short period of time, and that's what HPS does. It kind of takes those levels. So it's always good to look back at the trades to see if, what the time frames have been. We're going to go through some of those trades right now. First one was on the list was actually Tractor Supply Company, TSCO, and that was just taken off today. And I got into this just a day ago, so it was basically a pretty much an overnight trade. But a stock that has the characteristics of a few stocks that you're going to see today on the watch list. Tractor Supply Company had that really good channel, a channel within the channel. This was an X marks the spot trade. We've been in this one at this time. This is the first time we got back into it, and it was a couple days ago. We just started to get a bullish crossover here on a daily, and I think at the 60 also just got crossed over too, and we were actually bullish at this point. And it's just meant to see that the 60-minute now is extended, the daily is extended, and it's just hard to take all that plus the 200-period moving average, maybe even a trend line, and just kind of hold into that. It's so easy now to take profits because we continue to get these fast rotations, and all I have to do now probably is just wait for another setup in Tractor Supply Company. So as it approaches its overbought level on the 60 and the daily and the 200, even though it has a great chance of actually firing through here and moving higher, I'm taking it off. I'm going to try to be as close to a machine as possible in this environment, and that just keeps me disciplined. It keeps me out of trouble if I'm not going to hold it into the weekend and feel bad if the market gaps down. I missed an opportunity. So that's about it on that. We're just going to wait for that next setup. And again, that next setup should come when that 60-minute time frame here rotates back down, or at least gets a little pullback that we can measure out a bit. So I will be watching this one, but it's not an HPS type of setup right now. And again, good trade off of that. Pfizer, another one that was an HPS setup from a couple weeks ago, and you could see where actually was counted for this week too. I actually took this one off today too, and this would look at this underlying trend line, the recognizable channel, the pivots, everything, even the coiled stochastic channel breakdown here that plays out. Shorter term, this is a great pattern to trade when you actually recognize it. And this is exactly how it works. It's a coiled channel breakdown, and then the breakdown came right back down to a trend line. So you had to pick it up there, and from that point on, we got our move. So we got our move, and you can see we got overextended on the daily again, and 60 started getting a little extended. So I took it off. It could probably go higher, but that is the discipline I am trying to really nail home this month, and it worked out. It continues to look good. The pattern's playing out. It probably has a good shot of actually moving a little bit higher, but you know what? We could even get back into this one on a fast rotation. So I wouldn't mind that happening either. If it did come back down to this trend line, I would have to say you have to get right back into it. A lot of times you have a trend line like this, you'll get an initial bounce, and I call it one of the a pretty decent bottom. When you have a decent bottom or about to see a trend train, that first bounce is usually sold into, and you probably on average you get about a 50% retracement from that last bounce, and then it starts to move back up. So these kind of patterns that play out, it's sometimes good to see if we get a little pullback on the 60, even on the daily, and watch that level to hold up and actually to move back up. So we'll be watching for that move. I could easily get back into this one. Deutsche Bank just was a stock that we nailed on the pullback. It kind of chopped around sideways, added to it yesterday, and it got a further move today. And of course, when did we take it off? Took it off right up here, right when we started getting overbought in the morning. And you can see it pulled back. It started to pull back off the 6. We didn't even have to worry about it. Out of it with a nice profit. A nice profit, and we're out of it. So we're not even worried about that. And again, these setups can be tackled again in the future. So like to see how these are still kind of daily set up. The dailies on this one is still pushing higher, even though the base here, this tight consolidation hasn't broken out either way. I think the odds of this breaking higher are better than breaking lower. But again, we have to worry about guessing at this point. I'm just worried about that 60-minute rotation. And right now, you look back at that 60-minute rotation, and the exit place was 28.88. Well, excuse me, that was on Pfizer. To take a look at that one, Pfizer. That's Deutsche Bank. I'm looking at Deutsche Bank. Sorry, sell was at 33.57. 33.57. So this is right exactly where we sold this, right up on top of this candle because of this level. So we actually got the top right there. All right, next one up, TGT Target. We traded this one. We scalped this one a couple times. and it was just based off of news. It gapped down, but we knew that this one had 4 quarters of bad news factored into it. It was a nice base, so we bought into the gap down, and it was off to the races. Sold into the trend line, and that's how you do it. It's just about understanding the HPS sell zone levels. You can see how we're running into this trend line. We're having a little problem with it. And that's it. If it does go higher, it goes higher, but it'll be in play again, and we'll take it again. RSX, we're not going to, that was just a Russian ETF. That was an easy entry off of a trend line. You can see it's actually entered a little bit before that, but knew it was close enough to this trend line to expect a bounce, and we got that bounce, and we took profits into it. And again, one thing we want to note, I want to also to share with you is, and I forgot to share this before, is that with the SPX here at recent highs, all right, or the SPX, the stochastics here back up overbought levels, and the market here basically at recent highs. I've been doing a scan here, and I want to show you the scan I've been doing. It's something that's interesting that's coming up on this scan. All right, we're going to run through this real fast while I have it on my mind. Now, realize where the S&P is. All-time highs, stochastics extended. Now, you would expect a lot, the scan that I have is what I call the HPS watch list scan. These are a bunch of stocks that I just constantly look through every single day. And right now, it's up about 200 stocks. It's just about 200 stocks that I do scans on. Because I always want to, but I'm going through all these, and again, here's a few that are looking really good. The gold and silver, which are oversold, which is on the watch list, as we'll get into that. But let's talk about some regular stocks, like tech stocks and regular different sectors. Broadcom, extended, but not at new highs. But again, overextended. EMC, the daily here kind of overextended. Scripps, starting to get overbought, but nowhere near recent highs. Fastenal, getting overbought, nowhere near recent highs. So what the market's making new highs, we're seeing a lot of these stocks here not taking out the highs with the market, but they're getting extended. So what we're seeing is these lower highs being put in on a lot of different stocks. Joy Global works. You would almost expect to see some stocks here taking out the highs. But each time I look at these, I notice that we have the combination of that overbought level and a lower high where the overall markets are a little bit different. So Alexion is okay. Some of them are acting fine, like Celgene. Fortinet is doing nothing, but here's a good example of JBHT, JB Hunt, not getting back up to the highs. I don't know if it's going to be a failure here, the breakdown or nothing. Nothing here too clear. Just going through some of these because I had some good ones set up for us. Tesla looking okay. PRE, it's an interesting flag, but again, what I'm seeing is not every stock here is actually trading back at the highs or close to it. We're actually starting to tip out. Here's a good example of like a Caterpillar, and again a series of, we got that initial pullback, we push back up, we don't take out the highs, and that's what you look for. That's what you look for maybe a change of trend or a bigger pullback in the market. So you don't know if this is how this whole thing's going to play out. But for whatever reason, these things start to pull out. I would consider these two areas good pivot areas, just to be a very good setup. And a lot of these trades will really be great trades once they fill out these channels. But that's a while. That's a daily chart. Who wants to wait around for that? But just one thing I wanted to mention. So let's jump back on Caterpillar. Let's see here. Visa, we did that one. FMC was a great HPS setup. And we took profits on that. And actually started to pull back. We took profits here because of the 60-minute. Now, look at how it pulled back down. It's actually dropped back down. Almost a retracement here of an underlying trend line of a long ago. This underlying trend line here, this 1, 2, 3 pattern. And we kind of busted through, pulled back. It's starting to look interesting again, but I'm not in this one again. Worked out fine. And again, the main concept here is that important that we took all these profits that you're seeing and all these trades that worked out. We took these because of the 60-minute time frame, and we look back today, and most of them were pulled back. All right, Mylan, MYL, we took that off. Did move a little bit higher afterwards, but again, same old. All right. All right, here was that FMC setup. on the HPS. And again, you can see this just a nice pullback off of all these levels, an easy pullback or target up to the 20-period moving average, and the retracement of that support line that kind of broke down. And you can see we moved right up there, tagged our level, we got out of it, and that we got out of it again. 60-minute timed up here. It's actually starting to pull back down here, and this will actually start trending again or making another pattern. And I think it'll be an easier trade now that we've actually traded it once. We already have some lines here that are working out, so we're going to watch this going into next week too. Even though it's not officially on the list, probably could come into play again. Just also want to revisit Boeing, because I think Boeing was the great, what a great setup. First of all, it was it was the best bet for when this watch list came out, and it was really taken into consideration that Boeing is going to stick to this really great channel, that we're going to come down towards this trend line, and we're going to have a tremendous bounce in it. And I was very excited that we got our trigger on this, and you can actually see the results of that trade. Well, we actually just pushed right back up into our profit zone. We took profits. It did continue to move higher, but again, it's kind of stalling out now. But that is it, right? That's the quintessential trigger. When you're able to get into something before you're there, you don't have to look back at it and say, well, that's where you would like to gone in. Well, seeing the area, understanding the charts and stuff, and being able to be alerted to it as it enters that area is golden. All right, so again, that's the quintessential setup right there, and I have a couple for you this week similar to this, so I'm excited to bring those out to you. And of course, we're going to start off the official watch list right now, and this first part of the watch list I know goes out there on YouTube, so if you're interested in all this research and everything else that goes along with being a member of Day Trading Radio, please stop by and give us a try at www.daytradingradio.com, where we broadcast the markets every single day and actually take these trades every single day. When they set up, I spot them out live, and it's off to the races. So, see you in the markets, and if you remember, just hold on. We can pick up right from here.